Here we go, another day. So, Vix Finiram. So, scarcely I'd finished speaking, and Illico, on the spot, perducit me. He led me ad domum quampiam to some house, cuis of which ipsius foribus obseptus, which the doors were obseptus, they were shut or bolted, and per aquandam, through a certain brevem small posticulum, this is a back door or side door, probably the back door, he vocated me intro. He invited me inside, and a conclave, which is usually a room that takes a key, quaddam, this is the neuter form, so it's a certain conclave, obstratus luminibus umbrosum. So the conclave was umbrosum, so it was dark, and it looks like the obscuratus luminibus's, the luminibus would be light, so it's blocked off from light, so there's no windows, or the windows are closed, it looks like. And entering, he demonstrated, so he pointed out a matronem flebellum, a weeping matron, a fusca vest with a darkened clothing, contectem, covering her. And we have a full stop here in other versions. Anyway, he went up to so propter in the early years usually means up against, so he's at cis-stand. He's standing up there, and quam would be female. So anyway, he's standing next to her, and he says, this is the guy who perducated him in, hic, this here is auctoritas, the person who has the authority or he's been put in charge, to the custodium maritae tuae, to the guarding of your husband. Arcesides come here, fidenta, and he'll do it loyally or trustworthily. But illa she, the woman, the flebellum matronen, with her crinibus antipendulus, so with her hair hanging down anti in front, dimotus, so it looks like she's separated her hair. Di usually means in half or in two, so she's moved her hanging down hair into two, and then etim, even in meroore, even in her gloominess or a morning, she was proferencing, she was bearing a faciam, a face luculentum, full of light or beauty, and she was present participling at me, she was respecting me, she was looking at me, and she inquired, she said. So she says, vide, singular imperative, see, or oh, I beg you, she said, quam expurgite munus obius, that you obey your munus, your duty, as expurgately, with a lot of vigilance or wakefulness, and in quam, I said, sine curasis, let you be without any care, you can be with rest without care, modo only or merely, compara, another imperative, procure a suitable, nidonium is suitable, corollarium, corollary, so a suitable amount of money for the work done, you might want to say. 24. Sic placito. Thus everything was made placid, the deal was done, everything was in agreement, and she conrexited, she stood up, and me ad alium conculum inducit, and so she inducated me, she led me to another cubicle. Ibi, there, a corpus, a body, coopertum, covered up with splendentibus lintinus, with splendid linens, or might be clean or shiny linens, introductus quibusdem septem testibuses. Okay, here we go, that's the blade absolute. And having led in 7 certain witnesses, introductus means they've been brought in, she revealed or uncovered, velo would be the cover, with her hand, manu with her own hand, and diatune for some time, in super, above, probably above the corpus, above the body. She flattered again, she had a bit of a weeping, and fidem obtestata presentium singular demonstrator, So with some anxiety, she pointed out, demonstrated every single thing, which was with the present witnesses, these people who were testifying. With the words which she'd said were concepta, so de industria means she'd said these things on purpose or according to a formula, and these words were taken or concepted, and they were prenotated. They were written down on tabulus, on tablets. Quadam's just a pronoun again. So after a certain person had written this on a tablet, inquit, she said, okay, look, it's an imperative, it's also an interjection. Look, the nasus is integer, so the nose is whole, the oculi are, the eyes are incolumous, so the eyes are safe, they're also untouched. The ores, the ears, are salvae, they're safe and sound. The labia are the lips, they are inlabata, unstained or something. And the mentum, the chin, is solidum, it's solid, it hasn't been broken off or whatever. So we'll have a daily dictionary word of inlabatus, intact, undiminished, kept left whole, entire, unimpaired. In the top 10,000 words, but I've seen rarer words that are more commonly used, so I don't know what text they're using. And that's an adjective. Okay, was you in Hank, Ram, you in this matter. Boni quirites, this would be evocative, so good citizens, quirites are citizens, especially Roman citizens. Future plural imperative, perhibitot. So you applied here in this case, in this ram, as a testimony, as use a witness as good citizens. And cum dicto, when she said this, consignatus illis tabulus, okay, probably needs a comma there. When this was said, she sealed up these tablets, and facesset, this has a couple of meanings, probably means she left here in this case. At ego, but I, inquammed, I said, ube, singular imperative, order, domina, mistress, cuncta, everything, quae sunt, which are, usa necessaria nobis exhiberate. So all things which are necessary for the use are to be exhiberate, to be brought here, nobis to us, to me. And atque, which things are she inquired? Ista sunt, are these? Which things are these you're talking about? And AIO, and I said, a lucerna, a lantern, praegrandis, very big, and oleum, and oil, ad lucum luci sufficient, and oil, present participle or adjective, sufficient, luci to light, ad lucum, till the sun comes up. And calida, that's probably warm water, with an urn of forest, this is like a wine jar or something, and a chalice, that's a cup, and canarum reliquis discus ornatus, and an ornated disc, or a dish which is decked out with the remains of dinner, the reliquis canarum. Tunc illa. Then she, ablative absolute, with her capite or head cursanting, shaking her head, she inquired, she said, Abi, imperative, get away with you. Fatu, you fool. As you see, second declension vocatives of an E there. Who in a funesta domo, who in this house of mourning, there's a funeral sort of thing going on, you are asking for canas, dinners, and parts of dinner. In qua, looks like in which house, toti jugos iam diebos, ne quidem, not even smoke, visus est ullus. So not even in this house has been seen any smoke now for toti jugos dieboses, for some varied days, or for very entire days or something. Toti jugos, it's not the most common word. And this is a question, usually with some options. Or do you think you've come here? Do you think, credus venisi, do you think that you have come here for this deponent, commissatum, for revelry? Quinn, why not? Summus, why don't you take up, potius, rather, a loco, a place, congruent, something congruent to luctus, mourning, grief, and lacrimas and tears. So you haven't come here for a party, so rather you should be ready for what's congruent for the situation of grieving, etc. So Hake, these things, simul, the same time as she was Dickens, the same time she was speaking these things, she respected, she looked back to her ancillulam, to her little handmaiden, and she inquired, and she said, Marine, vocative, a lucernum and oleum, a lantern and oil, trade, imperative singular handover, a lantern and an oil, confessed him immediately, and incluso custode cubicula, and with the custodian inclusate or shut away in this cubicle, protonus, then immediately facesse, for the second time seen facesse, go away, leave. 25. Sic desolatus, thus desolate or alone, add solosium to the solace, split with a genitive, to the solace of a cadaver, perfricatus oculus, and having rubbed my eyes, or with my eyes having been perfricated, rubbed hard or something, and I was ob armatus, and then I was ready to be armed, ad vigilus for this vigil. Then another verb here, per mulciabam, I was soothing meum animum, my mind or my soul, with cantationibusses, with songs. When ecce, when look, crepusculum, this is vespers or evening came, and nox was provected, and nox came, so we had evening, and then night, and then nox altior, then the deeper part of night, and day, and then Altoria concubia, this would be the rather deep time of sleeping, and yam, and then very soon nox in tempesta, which I think is midnight, but it's something like that. Mihiqui, and to me, formido, this is a dread type of fear, it accumulated rather a lot. Opido means excessively or strongly he was affected by this fear, and quidam, indeed, this happened. So cum repente, when suddenly, intro repens, creeping in, was a mustela, this type of weasel, and it halted contra me, facing me or towards me, and obtutum qui acerrimum in me destituit. So it might have a couple of different meanings here, but we've got constitute here and destitute. So it's facing him with a very sharp, an acerrimum, very sharp gaze at him. Obtutum qui. Ut ten tillula animus prey. This is probably used for comparing here. So such a small animal, a tentilla animal, it had a nimia, an excess of confidence, fiducia, for such a small animal. And to me, mihi, my animum, my mind, which he'd been singing songs to before to calm himself down, was now turborated. He was getting confused or something like that. Okay, so his mind was disturbed. And then deniqui, finally, sic ad illum, and finally, thus I inquammed. So thus I spoke to it. Quin abyss, why don't you go away? Vocative, impurata bestia, you impure beast. And you, te, and two similes, musculos, why don't you recondis? Why don't you hide away yourself with similar little rats or something? Antiquam, before experiaris, you experience my vim presentarium, my present strength, vostri of me, of us. Here it's singular. They use nostri for singular for some reason. Quinibus, why don't you bugger off? He vortited his tergo, so he turned his back, and the cubiculo in the room, protonus immediately, he exterminated. Termina means you're in the boundaries of, so to extermina means to go out from the boundaries of the room, cubiculo. Nec mora, neither was there a delay, cum me somnus profundus, when me, in a deep sleep, a profundus somnus, repente, I suddenly demerged or sank down in imum bathroom. This is into the bottom of a pit, sometimes used for hell or an abyss. Ut, so that, ne quidem, not even the Deus Delphicus, not even the Delphic god, Ipsi himself, could facilely, easily discerneret, duobus nobus yacientibus, the two of us who were lying here, quiz who was magus, who was more mortus, who was more dead out of the two of us lying here. Sick, so thus inanimate means you're unconscious or dead, and indigens, and greatly in need of, put in the ablative, alio custode, so he was basically unconscious and needing another guardian, almost ibi there non eram. It was almost as if I was not there, so he might as well not have been there because he was deep in sleep. 26. Commodum, it had just happened, noctus, in the night, induitus is like a small treaty or a period of non-combat, when the Christate cohortus, Christate's usually like a plumage, so it could be talking about a rooster here or something, when the Christated cohorts per strepabet raised a large den with its canters, so I'm guessing night's over, daybreak's coming and roosters crowing is what I would guess that means. Nearly done. So tandem at last, expurgatus, fully awake, and with Nimio Pavor Perteritus, so he was Perteritus, he was very afraid, so he was woken up, very afraid, with an excess of fear of Pavor. I ran up to the cadaver, the accusative, and ad moto the luminite, moving the lamp, and revelator eos faci, and he uncovered the face of the corpse, and I remembered, this is the opponent, I examined singular every single thing, qua which convenerate had been agreed upon was cuncta everything. It was all written down yesterday. And ecce, look, the uxor misella, the pitiable wife, or whatever you want to call her, she was flensing still, she was weeping, and cum hest sternus testibus, with the witnesses from yesterday, she intro-rumpeted, she burst in, anxia, she was anxious and worried, and startem immediately, she superruensed, she rushed upon the corpori, the body, and multum with many, and dui for a long time, dioscula, so with many kisses and for a long time, under the arbitro of the luminous, under the witness of the lamp, or under the vision the lamp gave, she recognoscited omnia everything, and conversa, having turned to Philode Spotum, whoever that is, required actor. So this actorem, well, I might have to look around for some footnotes. The name means fond of one's master, and he is a steward according to the Loeb, and that's it for the day.